Right. Oh, let's do this again. Flip them around. Flip them around. There you go. Lights off. Engine off. Right. This is going to be some scary shit, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, shit. No. Yeah, why not? Hey, Brenda, how's it? How's it? Hold on. Step outside here. Grab my light. You got two lights. So I have never been here before. Driven by it a bunch, but never been here. Always curious about what this place might have. There we go. I don't like that. Alright. I think I'm going to be brave and stay in the bed of my truck today. Hey, Matt. Hey, Cheryl. How's it? No Matt tonight. He might be on the live a little bit later. You know what? I'm going to set up a chair and check out what's in the bushes around here. Wow, this place. Yeah. That's all we need. Yeah, I think this is all we need. Maybe my chair. Okay. Troy, how's it? Hey, everybody. I'll turn this off. Oh, it's cold. Jeez. Oh, yeah, that's always nice. Anybody want to take a guess as to where I am? So we got a road going down here, And we got a road going down here. Yeah, I'm thinking about buying this truck from my brother. This is our family truck. Nobody uses them. Huh? Yeah, no, I can't see my daughter driving that thing around. I wish I brought my jacket. It's not even supposed to be cold, bro. Oh, man. Come on. Come on. Give me a moment to set up, guys. Running a little bit behind. A lot of stuff going on, but, you know, when it's good life. Could be busy all the time. But yeah, sorry about last week. I couldn't make last week because I had graduation, family in town, all that good stuff. Huh? Let me just take a seat in 1 minute. There we go. Oh, oh, that feels good. There we go. Hey, Charmaine, aloha. Thank you for sub and the like, yeah. Lenora, how's it? Farzan, how's it? How's it? So, Jamie, how's it? Hey, everybody. Just me tonight. We are over at, I don't know if anybody want to guess where we are. I've never been here before, but it's cold, so that might give you a sign. Yeah, Makamai finally graduated high school. It's a lot of work having them graduate, Ra, I tell you. It's so strange too. She was at the Friday. She was at the KCC graduation because she got her medical thing for phlebotomy, and then yeah, high school graduation the next night. That's a Vine. Yeah, it's a Vine. So I'm on the road driving up to the Pali, yeah. This is the road. If you're coming from Kaneohe side, you take the right and you drive. It's about a mile drive up to the lookout. So we're on the side here. There's been a lot of stuff that's caught my attention as I've driven up here in the dark before when I go to do a live at the Pali. So there's stuff here and it's active. There's one video I remember, one experience. Obake Hunter was streaming it, and we were driving up here, and all of a sudden it was a clear night, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, like this mist literally dropped right on us. That was cool, you know. If I didn't say hi, I'm sorry. I'm just recovering from the day, you know. Happy Aloha Friday. Yeah, last week was busy. Sorry, I had no time to do it at all. This place, we'll see. I'm not familiar with the ghosts here, but I'm thinking maybe along the terms of the warriors at the Pali Lookout. So first and foremost, of course, aloha to the kupuna, aloha to the spirits over here. I ask for permission to be here to tell stories and to bring awareness to certain things. You guys hearing the trees? That's not a car. The Pali highway's in front of me, but you got a tree creaking also in front of me. Wow. You got that high-pitched squealing sound of a tree. Oh, congratulations, Jamie. So Kupuna, we'd like to ask for permission to be here, and I'd also like to ask for your protection as well as your permission, yeah? If you would like me to leave at any time, just let me know. Ole Pilikia, there's no, I don't intend to cause Pilikia, to cause trouble, anything like that, yeah? I'm just here to find a nice dark place to tell stories and see what get, you know. See if any spirits over here would enjoy the stories as well, yeah. So this is May. May means Mental Health Month. And I've been wanting to do this live all month. This is, I have a lot of experience in the mental health field as a night shift. And so I love to share stories and bring awareness. But tonight it's not going to be all ghost stories. It's going to be some other stories too. You know, to honor the mental health so people can explain a little better and understand a little better. Um, I will tell you guys two things that I learned. I know if you live on Oahu, even Big Island, or even around, mental health is a problem. You see it everywhere. You drive down the street, you see a person yelling at themselves. You see a person yelling at the cars, having a conversation with themselves, that kind of stuff. Yeah. I'll tell you that this much has been true for me. Disclaimer for me, but I know how to do this. Aloha Waffle. This is on the Pali Lookout, on the way up to the Pali Lookout. So it's that mile road stretch of just pitch black. This is H. Aloha. So when, like, it kind of got to me when my daughter was junior high at King, and she would walk to catch the bus, or she would walk home, or walk with her friends, and it was just even, yeah. There was a homeless lady on the road, or a crazy lady on the road, who would always yell at people, and yell at cars. And my daughter in 7th grade, she already knew how to handle this, and she already had that calculated into her daily routine, where you cross the street away from her and you just stay away from her and you don't make eye contact and you continue to walk and hope she doesn't look at you or yell at you. Hey Ben, how's it? And it's sad that our children, our keiki, gotta deal with this, yeah? Yes, Troy. Mental health is brought on in some cases by substance use. And that's the case when you have the dual diagnosis, right? You got brain damage. Remember those old 90s commercials and 80s commercials? This is your brain brain on drugs. Hey, how's it? That's actually real. I've met many people who have, heck, I met people who went to a party one time when they were 22 years old, and they smoked some of the wrong stuff and ended up in the state hospital for 40 years and still are there because one mistake they made cost them their whole life. You know, drugs can mess up your brain. You can smoke drugs or do drugs all the way up to the point where you have hallucinations, schizophrenia, voices, auditory hallucinations, visual hallucinations, olfactory hallucinations, tactile hallucinations. I find it very fascinating, but I guess if I had it, I don't think I would find it fascinating. Anyway, if you come across some of these people, two things to consider, yeah. Number one is they will mirror you. 808, how's it? They will mirror you. Mushrooms, peyote, yeah, if you do too much of that stuff, exactly. You might slip and fall. That's why when you do peyote and when you do that kind of stuff, you need the guidance of a shaman or something, right? I'm not sure what movie you're talking about, but there was a time he said, the best part is when you break the movie, when you see, and I see the same thing. There was a time where there was this patient, I'm not going to say the names for HIPAA, right? But this guy, he was a nice brother. He was a big guy though, but he was like a big child. I always enjoyed his company, right? But he was out there, like Superman, right? This guy would tell me he's Superman. And he'd come up to take his medication and he'd be like, oh. I'm like, hey boy, how you doing? He's like, oh man, Joe, it's hard, you know. I'm like, oh, you had a rough day. Hey, mahalo, thank you. I'm like, you on a rough day, brother? Hold on. Green Apple Bear, let me ask you, I want to ask you why you wrote that. Because I've been there a bunch for the last few weeks. Oh, yeah, that's why we went there. There's also a murder that we're investigating over there of a young girl who has come and talked on the live and said hi a few times at Kahana Bay. So until we can help, we go there to help her, bring her companionship at the very least. And at the best, we hope to help her cross over and move on. Yeah. Anyway, so this guy is, oh, I had one rough day. And I'm like, so what happened, bruh? He's like, bruh, so you know I'm Superman, right? And I'm like, oh, for real? He's like, yeah. He's like, bruh, everybody always asking me for move the furniture. 2007 Green Apple. He's like, bruh, everybody keep asking me for move the furniture because I'm super strong. He's like, you know, being Superman, bruh. And then you gotta save the day. And then you gotta rescue all the damsels in distress. Bruh, it's tiring, you know. And I just look at him and I'm like, yeah, dude. And he's like, but you know, it's being Superman. And then he's starting to brag to some of the other guys, right? Like, hey, look, Joe believes me. And I look at him and I'm like, hey, boy. Hey, you boy, you Superman, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you know, there's a reason why Superman keeps his secret identity secret, yeah? You look at me, he's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, bro, you go tell everybody you're Superman. And you're going to be moving everybody's furniture. You got to save everybody, bro. Don't tell anybody you're Superman. He's like, yeah. That's right. I should keep it a secret, yeah, Joel. I'm like, yep, you got to keep it a secret. So, like, for him, I got one night talking to him in the back, smoking cigarette, and we were just talking. And I made a connection, and it scared me. I could talk to him and see his delusions and understand everything about his delusions. We were having conversations, right? He was like, yeah, so, when I go Waikiki, ABC stores, before, I would always leave money, yeah? I'd always stick $50 in the back of the candy bar aisle, right in the back, underneath all the candy bars. I'd go throw $50. And, at first I'm like, I asked him, like, why would you do that? Why are you going to put a $50 bill on the bottom of the candy bars? And then it dawned on me. I'm like, oh, I get it. He's like, you get it? He's like, I'm saving them for me. I'm like, yeah. So when you from the future comes back, you're going to go get that candy bar because that's your favorite candy bar. And you go see the $50 and go, oh, nice. Right on. Somebody left $50. He's like, oh, cuz, how you do that? You understand me? And I'm like, bro, I connected with this guy too much. I started sharing his delusions and I started understanding each one of his delusions. That terrified me. It's a slippery slope and I don't want to lose my sanity. Green Apple Bear, I know Kahana get plenty stuff, bro. All the way in the back, I know, bro. This place, it's very powerful, Kahana Valley. It's very ominous. I love going over there to tell stories. The spirits, they like the stories. I'm not a ghost hunter. I'm not asking for evidence. I'm telling stories and I ask them if they want. They can come by, listen, talk story, enjoy the party, enjoy the companionship, and every now and then we go bring incense and stuff like that too, yeah. Okay, yeah. I believe you that valley is haunted. Don't worry about it. I would like to go into the back and check it out a little bit more. Maybe go on the trail and camp out one night, to see what kind of stuff is back there in the pitch black. Yeah. JB, I'm so sorry, yeah. That's very unfortunate. We have that a lot too now, yeah. Mental health is no joke. And it's for everybody. Everybody experiences a lot of different things. And it's all equally bad. They're all horrible, some of the negative aspects, but you need to have a good mental health. I'll tell you, I'm not even telling ghost stories, but yeah, it's okay. I'm going to continue with this one here. One of the more interesting things I learned was a lot of mental illness. Hold on. Okay, you like your ghost story. You like your own ghost story. Try to stop for like 5 seconds. No more wind for 5 seconds, and I'll tell the ghost story, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Jamie, I'll get right back on that, all right? Oh, green apple bear. I've been doing this for 20 years. You don't usually see ghosts. You'll hear them, you'll feel them. There's a whole lot of other ways, yeah. But I believe that when you go to a place, if you're pono, if you're good, if you're respectful, and you come in with the right purpose, then you will do a lot better than most. I ask for permission to enter the area, and if they don't grant me that permission, if they tell me no, then I'll go to another location and ask them. You know, you gotta listen to your kupuna, number one, yeah. Keith, how's it? Wow. So I guess, what story should I share to start off with? All right, one of my personal encounters, right? I worked at group homes from 2012 to about 2020, 2020, so about 8 years. Um, at towards the ending part, for about a year or two, I worked at the Hawaii State Hospital. Night shift, always. Yeah, I love the night shift. It's quiet, it's cool, and nobody bother you. So this is when I was working at the Hawaii State Hospital. Joy, how's it? I was working in I don't know why I can never, the pediatric unit, where a lot of the people are bedridden. You do diaper changes, all of that kind of stuff, right in the pediatric unit. Am I saying the right word? I don't know. I think it's the pediatrics are children, right? I'm sorry. It's the other one. It's the one where the older people, the one that can't move too much. I can't think of the word right now. I Sometimes my job would be to sit next to a person. I will, Joy. Thank you. Sometimes my job would be to sit next to a person all night. Geriatric. Thank you, Lay. Mahalo. Christy. Thank you. Yes, Cheryl. Jamie. Mahalo. The geriatric unit. To make sure that, like, we had people who were on a crazier end of stuff, and they would try to get out of the bed, but then they forget that they cannot walk, and they end up breaking a hip or something. So we would have to sit at their bed and make sure they don't get out of bed all night. Other times, we would be in charge of an entire unit. You got good people that are stabler, right? And you would have to watch them. So this was a night where I had to watch an entire unit, right? This is an outside unit, no air conditioning. It's a little alcove area. It's actually where the classrooms are, but there were so many patients that classrooms were turned into dormitories with 5 or 6 people per classroom. And yeah, there's some stories I can't share because they're just kind of disgusting, but yeah, just kind of try to imagine that bodily fluids that are not pee and poop. So I positioned myself for a long night on my chair and I started reading. I positioned myself so I could see all of the doors. Now, that's straight in front of me. On the right is a dead end. On the left is the nursing station is, where you walk through this glass door with these glass, like, ceiling high glass windows, glass wall, and you can see inside the nursing unit, right? The nurse station. And that's where the restroom is. So, the time passes, everyone's fine, everyone goes to bed, no issues, no problems. And it's about, I don't know, maybe 1 o'clock. It was like 1 or 2 in the morning, maybe 3. And I'm reading my book. Corner of my eye, I see a door open. Okay, I look up. One of the guys looks at me, waves. He's like, "Hey, Joe, I can use the bathroom." I'm like, yeah, come. Go ahead, use the bathroom, bro. No problem. Thank you for asking, So he walks inside. I see him go into the glass door, and I see him take a right into the bathroom. Right by the glass door on the inside of the nursing unit, right? The nursing station. And so I go back to my book. This guy, he don't cause trouble. Yeah. He's cool, he's chill, so I'm not worried about him. I go back to reading my book, and out of the corner of my eye, I see the bathroom door open. I see the nurse station door open, and I see him walking back out. Corner of my eye, mind you, right? I don't turn and look because this guy's cool. I know he's not going to cause any trouble. And so I see the door open out of the corner of my eye. I see him walk in. And then I see the first door on the left, on his left, open up. Now there's nobody in that room. That room is storage and it's empty. I see him open up the door and I see him run inside. And I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing, bruh? So I jump, I look up when I see that because I know that's the wrong door. And I see the door close with his fingers grabbing the door, trying to close it quietly, on the outside, and then his fingers just slip into the room. And so I stand up and I walk over there and I go to open the door and the door's locked. And I'm like, great. I grab my keys, I unlock the door, the lights are off. I turn them on. It's a big storage room. You got all the walkers, you got all the wheelchairs, you got all of that there. So it's a big wide open room, nowhere to hide. There's nobody in that room at all. And I'm looking around like, bruh, what the hell just happened? And as I'm standing in the doorway looking, to my left, the door opens up to the nursing station again. And I hear that guy saying, Joe, you okay? I guess I looked a little confused, I'm like, yeah. Are you just getting out of the bathroom now? He's like, yeah, I just got out of the bathroom now and I opened this door and here I am. And I'm like, you didn't come out before? He's like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, why? I'm like, never mind. So I'm like, oh, okay. I was super excited. I was like trained on that door all night to see if anything else would happen. Yeah, but nothing else happened. I called up my friends in the mainland. I'm like, oh, guess what? I just saw one ghost, I told him what happened. It was cool. It's not really that scary to me. It's what? I saw one ghost hand, Hey, everybody. Hey, Hiccups. How's it? Hey, I saw Cheerful Gardenia. How's it? Aloha. Green Apple. When I was there, they shut down Sacred Falls. They said it was totally haunted. Oh, yeah. Sacred Falls is where Kamapua'a lives, yeah? Across the Hilo Hospital, the old Hilo Hospital. I drove by and had a lot of what looked like zombies cruising around the parking lot, but turned out it was actually patients, I think. So they were all outside smoking cigarette at like 10 o'clock at night. Hi, Asha Haig, how's it? Mental health. Hey, Melody. And if you guys wondering, I get TikTok, YouTube running simultaneously, side by side. So if I'm talking to somebody, it's not the ghost. If I'm talking to the ghost, you would know. Oh, geez, let me just go next to me. Perfect timing, thank you. Oh, yellow car coming up. Check, make sure you see me. Don't bang me. Yeah, right on. Oh, right on, Sean. Molokai High School was, graduation was tonight. Nice. Here's something else I learned about mental health, yeah. And I took it to heart, as there were times where I was kind of struggling with my own mental health, depression, no joy. I'm on the road up to the Pali, the mile-long drive of pitch black. If you come in Kaneohe side, you take a right, you go all the way up to the Pali. That's where I am. First time here. Matt is not out here with me tonight. No, just me. He's probably going to join the chat a little later. I learned a lot of lessons in the mental health field and reading about it and learning about it, right? A lot of the time, well, what I realize is that everybody has problems. Everybody has like pain. Everybody has their issues. And no one issue is more important or worse than another. If you cut your finger, it hurts. If you lose your leg, it hurts. Both of them hurt, both of them, it depends, but both of them, for a kid, the end of the world, a person might go through something that you think is not that bad, but to them it's the worst. And you got to remember that it's your perspective that's saying it's not that bad, whereas from their perspective it might be horrible. You don't know other people's stories. Yeah, you don't understand other people's stories. Mental health, when it comes to schizophrenia and that kind of stuff, a lot of it is a reflection of how you see yourself. I've learned to lie until you make it, fake it until you make it. My boss at my job taught me that. We're dealing with these complex alarm systems, and I don't know how to answer some of the questions. And my boss would tell me, he's like, Joseph, if you don't know how to answer the questions, Joseph, pretend that you do. Sound smart and act like you understand. And so the more I acted like I understood, the more I actually started understanding. Because once you say I can't understand it, I don't know what it is, then you just made a mountain out of a molehill, right? It's not that hard to understand, but if you're saying that you don't understand it, I can't understand it, it's hard. It's very difficult, it's very complicated. You're just making your own understanding harder. If you say it's easy and you know it, like for me, I say I know this, I better research the hell out of it because I don't like to lie. Oh, how's it? A branch just fell around right next to me. Do you want me to leave? Am I welcome here tonight? If you want me to leave, make another branch fall, make a tree creak, you have 10 seconds. Okay, 10 seconds is up. I didn't get a response, so I'm gonna stay. This place feels very strange. I prefer the Pali lookout by myself, to be honest. Even though this place is pretty wide open, look, see? You got a big wide open parking lot area over here. Right there. Still, I feel better at the Pali because I can see something running at me from pretty far away. Oh, I know I'm not alone. Yeah, you don't need to care about that kind of stuff. When people tease you, make fun of you, you don't have to care about it. Let them go. One of the trainings taught me something that always stuck with me because I could never understand schizophrenia. The people who have auditory hallucinations. In other words, they hear voices in their head, right? Yeah, that's right, Howdy. Especially the lot up there covered the battlefield, yeah? And all the people that died on there. I'm not using Starlink, no. I have 4 bars, 5G. We're set. So one of the things I learned was that I got to talk to a lot of them, right? While they were in crisis, while they are crazy, and then after they got stabilized on medications, I got to talk to them and interview them pretty much and check in with them and have them discuss, their mental state. And so I'd ask them, I'm like, so what is it like hearing voices? What was it like when you weren't on your medications versus now? That kind of stuff. I found it very interesting. There was this one girl who, she actually, her schizophrenia was a later onset in life, and it was hereditary. It hit her when she was about 34, 35, She was a nurse on the West Coast. She was married. She had children, a husband, a house, just a normal person, right? And she told me that her story was, I guess one morning she woke up with schizophrenia, and she was no longer that person. She was no longer the nurse, the mother, the wife. She was a stripper. She was something else, somebody else. And so she started going to the club and stripping, and then she bought a one-way airplane ticket to Hawaii for some weird reason. She just said she didn't even remember why, but it made a lot of sense at that time, yeah. And so she did that, and she ended up trespassing. She ended up threatening, and she ended up to the hospital, where the judge gave the lawful order that she has to take medications. And when I met her, she had already been on medications, and she was very stable. And she said, you know, and I told her, I'm like, is there, even when you were in the height of your schizophrenic episode that lasted for about 3 years, could I have talked to you and told you about your kids and your husband, and would you have remembered them? And she said, oh yeah, I remembered them. I knew that. I knew them. But that wasn't me. Those kids belonged to another person that looked like me. And that husband was married to another person that looked like me, but it wasn't me. I was her stripper name. You know, she's like, that's who I was. And nobody could tell me anything different. You know, I'm like, do you remember your family talking to you? She's like, I do. And I kept looking at them like, why are you talking to me? Talk to your wife. You know, and she ended up, I guess, cutting ties and got a divorce, and just, that wasn't even a choice. Like, she made a bad choice because she did drugs. That was just the onset of schizophrenia. I would like to say, if you have this happening, seek help immediately. Don't be too proud. Don't be too proud at all. Seek help, or you might lose decades, years off your life, right? Next thing you know, your baby will be graduating high school or have their own kids, and you will still think you're 25 years old, 20 years old, when in reality you're 66 years old. You know, it's a scary thing, yeah? I believe that someone who hears voices are open more psychically. Others are hearing subconscious parts of themselves. Yes. Yes. Some of them, definitely. I had some really gifted individuals. I had some just like, I've been doing this was after I did the ghost tours, and I had learned a whole lot of stuff about healing, about all of this stuff, right? I learned a lot about Qing Ming, and I learned how it worked from my friend Sherry Pang. It's very fascinating to me how she did it. And I had this one patient who came in, and he didn't have any medications. There was no medications to take. He told me he went crazy because he opened his third eye too full, and too much knowledge came in. And he's in this program now so that he can get about a couple years of peace to process everything he learned. And you know, you hear some stories, right? You hear some just crazy out there stories from the people. And if it's true, it's true. And if it's not, it's not. But to them, it's true. And I'm just like, whatever. I don't care. You want to tell me that your name is Saber-Tooth Tiger? Go ahead. You want to tell me your dad was Bruce Lee? It doesn't hurt me at all, yeah? Hey, Lisa, how's it? And so this guy was, had this big claim that he knew all of this and he knew all of that. But brother knew all of this. And he did know all of that. We spent 2 hours. And I bounced all of my knowledge off of, I bounced what I knew off of what he knew. He knew way more than I did. He blew my knowledge out of the water when it came to the paranormal, when it came to conspiracy theories. It was like, hey Rico, how's it? He told me, he's like, oh, so do you know about King Kamehameha and the, what's it called, the Anunnaki? And I just learned what the Anunnaki was to an extent. I'm still not really quite sure, but I'm like, Kamehameha and the Anunnaki, and he's like, yeah, it's in this book on this page, third paragraph down. It mentions Kamehameha with a spear fighting the Anunnaki and some kind of shining orb. And And I'm like, this guy has a photographic memory. He go to my room and find the book. He went to the room, found the book. It was the page number. It was exactly where he said it would be. You know, sometimes they're just completely genius. Um, it's the voices in your head. Now, here's the training that I got. Right, it's not a ghost story, but it's the training that I learned that really opened it up for me. Um, there was a psychiatrist, and we had to watch this seminar training. It was recorded. This psychiatrist, she was up there talking, and she said, schizophrenia is real and all of this stuff. And she's like, I was going to college. I was in my second year of college when I started hearing voices myself. And she didn't know what to think about the voices that she started to hear, but she said the voices were absolutely neutral. All they would do is narrate her life. Hey, Phoebe, how's it? All they would do is narrate her life. Like, she'd get out of the car, and the voice in her head would say, Deborah opened the car door. Deborah closes the car door. Deborah is walking to class. This is what the voices in her head would say. And she's kind of like, okay, that's kind of weird. And she lived with it for about 2 weeks, and this voice just kept narrating her life. And so she confided in a friend about what was happening, and the friend was like, oh, you're hearing voices? Oh my God, there's something wrong with you. You need to see a psychiatrist. They need to fix you. If there's something wrong with you. Then the voices changed. The voices started saying, yeah, Deborah, there's something wrong with you. You're messed up. You did something wrong. You deserve it. You should die. You should do this. You should do that. See, Deborah, they're laughing at you. They're making fun of you, Deborah, because they know you're hearing voices. They think you're not like them. They think you're crazy. They think you're this. And the voices will get bad and bad and bad and worse and worse and worse because she had seen that it was a problem. And it took her years of therapy. And she said it took her years of therapy to realize her therapist taught her these voices in her head, they're not a problem. They're a part of you as much as your hand is, as much as your fingers are a part of you. As much as your arms and legs are a part of you, this is also a part of you. Like, you have nothing to be ashamed of. And after years of working on it, she started hearing the voices that she would hear all the time change. And she says in her lecture, she's like, and even now, I'm hearing the voices in my head, but the voices are telling me, I'm proud of you. You're doing a good job. You're doing good. You're talking strong. Keep it up. And now the voices in her head are cheering her on. Can you imagine that? Having the voices in your head that just start cheering you on in your day-to-day life, I imagine it's like, just everything, Hey, Chris Jarvis. How's it? Sounds like a Will Ferrell movie where you look like a narrative on you. It must get annoying, yeah. But it's not just the truth so much. A lot of it is, it's your own perception of yourself. If you think that there's something wrong with you, you're going to start acting like there's something wrong with you. Yeah? Be proud. There's always a line for being too proud. You guys seen a face? Pineapple Goddess. I'm right by the Pali, actually. I'm on that 1 mile stretch of pitch black. Yeah, I'm sure there are faces. I don't like to look at them because if I look for them, they can look for me, yeah? Yeah. My friend had to teach me there's nothing wrong with worrying about yourself. Don't put, you can put people, you can prioritize people, but, there's nothing wrong with prioritizing yourself every now and then. What comes wrong is, when it becomes wrong is when you're only prioritizing yourself, right? Everything in moderation. Anunnaki were the pantheon of gods, the Babylonians. Thank you. But people think they were actual powerful alien race pretending to be gods who enslaved races on many planets, including ours. Yeah. That's right, that's right. Narcissistic disorder is very damaging. It is, but narcissistic disorder is usually because they don't feel like they're enough, and so they are overcompensating. Yeah, you just gotta love yourself. Find something to love about yourself. That's just that. It's so simple. There was, let's just do a ghost story now. I don't want to get too serious. Uh, which ghost story? I got a lot of favorite ghost stories. Personal experiences for now, yeah. But actually, give me a minute because I need to grab an energy drink from my car. So you guys enjoy the ghosts for now in the wind, and I'll be right back. I can feel some stuff around here, just watching at the edges. Huh, interesting. You could put my ex-boyfriend in the psych ward where the hell he belongs. Yeah. No sightings yet, but a lot of feelings, yeah. I I don't know. I mean, there's both sides to it. I think people need. I'm more of a psycho. No, what am I talking about? Psychiatrist is the one that prescribes medication, right? There's another one too, and I know what it is. I just forget. A psychiatrist and a therapist, right? I wasn't ever a therapist. I don't have my degree in any of that stuff, but I like to try and help when I can. And I always have a disclaimer. I'm not a therapist. I'm not I'm not one of those people. But I do have experience in it. Maybe I can help you. Megan, I usually stay out about another hour. Psychiatrist is one. Then there's, I want to say psychotherapist, but that doesn't sound right. Yeah, okay. I thought there was a word for it. I forget. Yeah, psychiatrists, they do the medications. Yeah. Although I do believe in some cases, some people do need medication. So that they are not harmful to themselves and to others. That kind of stuff will help as well. Psychologist. Thank you, Green Apple there. Psychologist is the word. Yes, 808. Yes, Sean. Oh, they can prescribe medications too. Okay. Psychoanalyst, yeah. Yeah, we'll do a ghost story after. I want to share this story. It was a guy, we'll call him Fred. Now, yeah. Yeah, we'll call him Fred. Fred was about my age. Fred was... I'm not even going to use a name. It just doesn't sound right using a name. Jessica, how's it? Thank you. Palma. What? Oh, it looked like an orb flew down. Very, very well could have been. It scrolls so fast, I don't really get to see everything that's... So, hey, Kalamai. If I don't see your comment or question, you just type it in again until I can see it, yeah? Some people just need to smoke a joint and relax, yeah. So this guy, he was about my age. and he was at the group home with me. He he suffered from a really bad schizophrenia, really bad drug addiction, that kind of stuff. He was a drug baby, so he was born addicted to crystal meth, and growing up his whole life, he yearned for it. He had no idea what he yearned for. Bear's not here. Growing up, he had no idea what he yearned for. He wanted so badly until he became about 20. Then he tried drugs for the first time, and it was like a piece of him that he finally found. He finally found that piece of him. So sad, yeah. It's a horrible thing that you're craving something your entire life, not knowing what it is, and then when you find out what it is, it's something that messes you up, right? That's gotta mess with you pretty bad. He was in the group home for a while. He goes from group home to group home. And well, there was one occasion, right, where he was always kind of standoffish, real shy. But there was one occasion where he got angry, he got nuts, and this guy grabbed the broom, and I just all of a sudden, we got two houses, right, one next to the other. We share the garage, and all of a sudden I hear him yelling, "What, fucker?" And then a loud commotion. He grabs the broom and he throws the broom through the window, right? He throws the broom through the screen window towards one of the other patients. And the other patient is standing there like, what the hell did I do? I didn't do anything, you know. And then the guy is just outside. He's like, yeah, you fucker, huh? You go talk. You go call me names, huh? Yeah, that's what you get. And I'm like, the other staff runs by and I run by and I'm like, all right, you deal with him. You see if he's okay. I'll go deal with the guy that's yelling. You know what I mean? Because we get one guy and I had a female coworker. So I had her deal with the cool person, and I went to the back to deal with brother, who was just stewing, yeah, smoking cigarette, and he's just smoking cigarette in the back, just all pissed off, all angry, just all, you know, pilau, and I'm like, hey, brah, what's going on? You look at me. What you mean what's going on, huh? Huh? That fucker is what's going on, that's why. Freaking lick him, you know, that kind of stuff, and I'm like, okay, what did he call you? He called me stupid. And I'm like, okay, let me ask you a question. You know who that person was, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, that's your friend, isn't he? Oh, yeah. Has he ever called you stupid? No. Do you think it's your voices in your head? Or do you think he actually called you stupid? He's like, no, that's not like him. It's probably the voices in his head. The voices in his head would take other people's voices. So he'd walk away from me and turn around. What you just told me? And I'm like, bro, I never say nothing. He's like, no, you would call me something. And I'm like, for real? You think so? Oh no, sorry, Joe. You know, like that. So the voices would take on my voice and other people around them, right? And so, oh, the little black square is my head. Sorry. I don't know why. I keep that feature off on TikTok. And so I'm over there and I'm talking to him and I'm like, okay, bro, you know what you did, you messed up, huh? He's like, yeah, so I can mess up. I'm evil, that's why, yeah. The voices tell me I'm evil, I'm wicked, I'm mean, I'm the devil, you know. Why should I apologize? Why should I feel bad, huh? I'm the devil. And I'm like, okay, you're the devil. Now let me ask you a question. What do you think you should do? You just threw a broom at your friend. Oh, he's like, you should tell him I'm sorry. I'm like, you should tell him you're sorry. He's like, yeah. I'm like, did you mean to do it? He's like, no, I feel bad for it. He's like, but I'm evil. But I'm the devil. You know, so I don't feel bad. And I'm like, bro, I'm like, no, you're not. You're not evil. You're not the devil. You told me you feel sorry. You want to apologize to him. He's like, yeah, so? I'm like, so you're not the devil. You're a person that made a mistake. He looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. He's like, what? Bruh, you're a person that made a mistake. You agree that was a mistake, right? You shouldn't have done that. He's like, yeah. I'm like, do you regret it? He's like, of course. That's my friend. I'm like, well, and I told him, I'm like, dude, you're not dad. You're not evil. So quit telling me that you're evil, because the guy that I know is a nice guy and he always cracks jokes with me and laughs. I know evil people and you're not one of them. And he looked at me. He's like, really? You think that? I'm like, of course. I know that. I know people's personalities, bro. You're not evil. You see somebody needs help and you run immediately to help them, bro. He's like, I do that, yeah? I'm like, yeah. Dude, you're not bad. You're not evil. From that day on, he struggled with the voices a little bit more here and there, but he got good. He ended up moving houses. I didn't see him for a few years. When I was working at the state hospital, I saw him at the state hospital. That's never a good thing, right? That usually meant that they'd relapse. So he comes running up to me, giving me a hug. He's like, Joel, long time no see. How are you doing, bro? And I'm like, good. How are you? He's like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm like, bro, what the hell are you doing back here? He's like, oh, I'm sorry, Joel. I ran away from home. But I haven't done drugs in 3 years. I haven't done drugs or touched it in 3 years. I've been clean. I've been sober. I've been good. I'm like, why'd you run away from home? He's like, because I lived in this house, and I know the house he lived at. The staff would steal your stuff. The patients would steal your stuff. Everybody would pick on the weakest link and each other. The staff would break into their room when they're sleeping and take their cigarettes and take their money out of their pockets and their wallets. The staff, you know. He's like, I didn't feel safe there. So I ran away, and then my cop found me, and now I'm in the hospital. He's like, but I'm still clean. I'm still good. I'm like, good for you, bro. And we worked. I've seen him many more times, and he seemed perfectly fine. He seemed like the same good person that I had seen, just a big ball of joy, right? Hold on, I saw some questions popping up over here. On TikTok first. Yeah, I think a lot of them, Leo, the Lioness, that might have split personalities, but it all depends how they see themselves, yeah? Phoebe asks, when is it a possession as opposed to being schizophrenic? I often wonder. Sometimes it's both at the same time. I'll tell you guys a story a little bit later about that. I managed to finally separate the possession out of this elderly gentleman, and then straight to it. Then his mental illness was apparent. You know. Um, there was a guy who you could tell he had something on him or in him. He was when he walked in the first time, he walked in behind me. I felt him. I did a triple take on this guy. I wouldn't say he's evil, but oh, this guy had anger. He had stuff on him, and he wouldn't take any medication. And it was just, brah. We started bringing baseball bats to work. How unpredictable this guy was, and he was huge. Not just big. This guy was big. He was buff. He was fast. He was tall. And he was crazy as shit. Sorry. Yes, I'm sitting, Jimmy. My son was walking to Akaka Falls. He said it was a ghost following him nighttime. I don't doubt it. Akaka Falls is a beautiful place, but that place gets some mana. We went there a few months ago. Oh, wow. That place is awesome. You heard footsteps? Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of things around here, but that's why I keep talking, yeah. Okay. Sad as more people are misdiagnosed as schizophrenic when it's a split personality, which can be manageable with meds. Yeah, now they're charging to get in. But we had the Kamina rate, and we brought my son's fiance, who's from Illinois, and they made her pay full rate, and they made us pay Kamina rate. I'm like, come on, Auntie, what kind of aloha is that, you know? Like, she's with us. But, no, I'm not by Jackass Ginger. Kinda, maybe, but not really. I'm up at the Pali lookout tonight. So there was, what story? Oh yeah, there was this guy, and here's kind of a little bit of both. It was I'm not gonna say, I cannot say his name. Like, yeah, I'm just so Portuguese where I just like to say the names. Yeah, like oh yeah, 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 you know the kind, so and so, right? No, I cannot say the names because HIPAA. This guy was this guy was middle aged. He was the quietest guy I ever met. First day I came into work, there was stuff around him. I mean, this guy did not know how to. He did not know how to interact with people socially. I read that his mom had kept him his entire life because there was something kind of wrong with him, and his mom died. That's when he became a ward of the state. They found him in his I think he was in his house when all the electricity and the water were turned off, and they found him just sitting in the chair, not knowing where to go or what to do or anything. And he was a strange guy. We helped him with his like he should have had diapers. Did the light just flicker? They should have had him in diapers because he had to change his sheets a lot and his clothes. But we helped him with that. Anyways, this guy was super quiet. He'd come up and take his medications every night, and I would try to strike up a conversation with him every time. And he would sometimes nod, sometimes smile, and that was the extent of it, right? And finally, one night I gave him his medications, and I look at him and I'm like, hey, so how was your day? And he just smiled. I remember something my dad told me a long time ago, and so I decided to tell him. And I told him, I'm like, some piece of advice to share with you, yeah. This. I looked at him and I'm like, I can tell you are a good person. I can tell you're a nice person and you're a great person. When you don't talk to people, you are robbing them of your company. So you never know the person you talk to, and you smile at and say hi. You might make their whole day a better day. Just because you smiled at someone and said hi. And he looked at me, he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. Just, and so we talked a little bit, and it's like, all right, just all you gotta do, because social interaction was terrifying for him, right? Like, all you gotta do is, if you want to try it tomorrow, you can try it. If you don't worry about it, bro. But when you go to your program, just look at one person, smile at them, and say good morning. I said just one. That's all. Just one person. And then you don't need to say nothing all day. And so I came back in the next night, and he came up to me as soon as I sat down. He's like, Joe, guess what? I'm like, what? He's like, I told a lady on the bus good morning, and she told me good morning back, and she smiled at me. He's like, I'm like, really? That's awesome. He's like, it is. It's awesome. I talked to a stranger today. I talked to somebody, and she was nice. Guys, the reflection of a face in the window is me. Okay? I know I'm scary. I have a dual camera mode on the TikTok, and I don't know how to turn it off. Sorry. I hear people over here. Like, it's showing a reflection of a face. There's this black spot in the forest, and I can see a face in it. That's my face, guys. I'm sorry. Oh, that's funny. Sorry. That mist is also me, so don't worry about it. What the heck? What? Hold on, something's going on with TikTok now. Oh, puzzle time. Okay, never mind. I guess after an hour you gotta do a puzzle. No, I'm up in the mountains. It's windy. You guys are funny. I have to talk close to the camera. Very observant though. Anyways, this guy, yeah, he just started talking to people. Every day he talked to people. I'm on Oahu, yeah, Senchi. Every day he talked to people, and he talked to some of the other residents. And before you knew it, within about a month, brother was singing karaoke with the residents. He was going out to movies. He was going out with his, he made friends and he was going out with his friends. And this guy was just like, damn, within a month, you know? You never know. One thing you tell somebody might make a lot, might help them out a lot more than you think, yeah? Oh, green apple. Let me show it. Let me, actually, if you look on my YouTube, I'll show. I was up at Mauna Kea. Absolutely love Mauna Kea. I want to go back. Um, I did a live from Lake Waiau, and I caught chanting in the back that I didn't hear in person, but I heard it in the back. I greeted them, and then it greeted me as well with the chanting. That was so cool. One of the best recordings I have. That's on my YouTube. I'm by the Pali lookout. No, not raining over here, bro. Yeah, it's nice. But it didn't take that much to help him. And so I'm saying this not for everybody to be, oh, good, Joe, you know, nice. Joe, you're such a good person. No, bro, it's so easy. Everybody can do it. Can you imagine if everybody did that? You know, just tell them. Just tell people who are shy, you know, I just put the thought in their head and let them roll with it. But if I didn't put the thought in their head, they may not have done that. What's even sadder is there's actually a few diagnosed with schizo when they're actually a sensitive, voices in their head or spirit guides or lost souls. Yep, looking for help. What they were saying, I don't know what they were saying, but when I said aloha, it responded with aloha and started crying like, oh, aloha. And I was like, oh, dude, so cool. Hi, Quiet Christy. How's it? People need to just be nicer to each other. That's what I think it is. People just need to just... These random peoples, they're not NPCs, okay? Non-player characters in your stories. Every single person that you drive by in traffic has a story. Every single person has heartache, has happy moments, sad moments, all of that. I used to think to myself, in a graveyard, this is a library. Every tombstone represents a person's life. And if you were to dive deep enough into that person's life, you'd see what made them tick, see what made them happy. You could see their happiest moments, their saddest moments, their most embarrassing moments. And one person, if you were to just access that knowledge from one person, it would change the way you lived your life. Yeah. We're doing some ghost stories at a haunted place, and we're also talking about mental health. I'm telling some stories about when I worked in the mental health field overnight and some of the ghostly encounters I had. But I'm doing this more as a mental awareness kind of thing, yeah. Dressed up with ghost stories. Ooh, what was that? You guys heard that knock in the forest? Can you do the knock again? Oh, that's funny. You can drive away from the ghost, you can speed, you can run, but they can run faster than you. No, I didn't. That was a... Could you do one more knock if you're there? If you want me to know that you're there, could you knock twice like you did before? I heard one knock. There's another knock. Thank you. Lori Cohen. Okay. Oh, I froze up. We're having knocking over here. Thank you. I'll tell another story. Um, there was an investigation that I did in one of our houses for the company I worked with. I worked first with Steadfast Housing Development Corporation, and then I worked with Mental Health Kokua. So they were both companies own a lot of houses, homes, and I got to work in a bunch of them. There was one down in Kaimuki side. Wow, there's stuff going on around me. I'm seeing like a reflection of lights next to me all of a sudden, and then I turn and it's not there. Hey, Hawaiian sister, how's it? This night was it was an addict house. Everybody in the house was an addict, and I got stories about that too. But it just I won't share those. It can be kind of disgusting. Um, how it's set up is it's an old style, just a regular house, and you walk into the living room, then you get the kitchen attached to the living room, and then the wall in the back of the kitchen that's the wall that the office is in. So the front door to the office is in the hall. Walk further back. Basically, if I needed to be in the living room and I'm sitting in the office, it takes me 3 seconds, maybe 5. And so, you know, the rules, 10 o'clock, lights out, right? Yeah. It's 10 o'clock, lights out. So, lights out, close all the doors, lock all the doors, go back into the office, jump on my computer, playing one game. At that time, I think I was making a Minecraft world for my kids because they were little. What else do you go do in one 12-hour shift, huh? Troy, yeah. And so I'm over there, and then I hear the TV is on. And I'm like, brah, these guys gotta go sleep. So I walk outside, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? There's nobody outside. There's nobody in the living room, nobody in the kitchen. The TV is on to one of those Korean dramas, or yeah, it was one of the Korean dramas, the soap operas, all in Korean or Japanese. And so I'm like, hey, it's lights out. You guys cannot do this. Whoever the heck this is, you gotta go to bed. Don't let me catch you. I go write you up. So I turn off the TV. I go back to the office. A couple minutes later, boom, you hear the noise again. The TV's on again. Same Korean drama. I'm like, brah, somebody messing with me. So I turn it off, turn it off again. I'm like, knock it off. You gotta go to bed. It's bed. I go back into the office. Maybe 5 minutes, maybe a little more pass. And all of a sudden I hear the furniture moving around. Just this loud noise, like a table being dragged from one side of the house to the other. Just this long, loud, and I'm sitting there for like a few seconds like, what the hell is going on? And I run out, no noise, furniture has not been moved, nothing. And I'm like, okay, I think there's something up with this now. I think there's a ghost. And the TV was on again. And so, yeah, I'm like, okay, you know what? I think that the previous resident who lived in this house wants to watch your Korean drama. I'm like, okay, you can watch your Korean show, leave the TV on, it's fine. Just keep the volume down, don't wake up anybody, okay? And when you're done, please turn them off. I went back to the room, I let the ghost watch the Korean drama. And near dawn, I came back out, and the TV was off, and everything was fine, and I'm like, okay, thank you. I'm like, okay, nice ghost. So yeah, I'm hearing the wind pick up all the time, but there's certain times where the wind picks up and it feels like chicken skin all of a sudden. Like it's just, there's something in the wind kind of thing. I can feel that there's something active in the wind. That's why I'm trying not to pay attention to what's going on around here. I'm trying to just tell stories and leave it at that, you know what I mean? One of the investigations I did, sorry, that's the story I was originally going to share, and I got sidetracked with that memory. I was at this house right outside the state hospital, and the staff I worked with would work in both houses in the daytime. And so they found out I did the ghost tours, the day staff. And one of them came up to me, and her name was Susan. She's a staff, so I can say her name. And she was like, Joe, you know this house? And she names it. I'm like, yeah, I've been there before. Sweet Savage, how's it? Mahalo for the gift. She's like, there's a ghost there. And I'm like, really? I didn't know there's a ghost there. She's like, the ghost comes out in the daytime. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. Everybody will be at the house. Everybody will be where they need to be, and it's just me in the house, in the office on the second floor. and she'll be out, or she'll be out in the living room on the second floor watching TV, and she sees a lady walk down the hallway. I'm like, well, there's no ladies up here. They're like, no, there's no ladies up here. There's no female residents. She's like, but I see a lady walk down the hallway, and she takes a right at the last room and goes through the door and disappears. I've checked that room. Intermission, motorcycles. Wow, and then it just got really warm. Ooh, it got really warm. That was motorcycles on Pali Highway. And the room belonged to an older guy, and there's a story about him I'll share a little bit later too after this one. It was, so I'm fascinated, and I'm like, well, what else is happening? She's like, well, it's strange because she only appears in September through the end of the year, but then after Christmas she's gone again. And I'm like, huh, that's strange, and so I went over to investigate one night. I was at the other house, but the other house was fine. So me and my other coworker, we left to go down the road to the other house and hang out with the staff, right, and do a proper investigation. So we walked around. Well, I walked around. I left the EV voices. I left the EVP recorder in the bathroom playing the whole time. I got nothing off of it. But anyway, I walked around the house and I went to feel what was going on. I had a candle and I was going to cross over whoever was there, right? That was the intention. We did some investigating with tools and stuff, and we didn't get anything. We used, back then it was a ghost radar to generate random words. Didn't get much on that. Actually, I learned something interesting, but that's not part of the story, so yeah. I went upstairs and I realized I heard that. I realized when I got downstairs that whatever it was under the stairs, because I could feel it. It was hiding under the stairs. Ghosts, they have to have three-dimensional space to take up. Their energy has to be in an object or in a location. So it's not like, they have to occupy physical space if they are if they're a spirit that hasn't crossed over, or even energy that replays itself. It has to occupy an object, right? And so this was under the stairs. And I quickly realized why. That's where all the decorations were. The Halloween decorations, the Christmas decorations, the New Year's decorations. And so when they took out the decorations, that's when this lady would be active, right? I had asked my boss. Oh, I insist, that's me. That's picture in picture, 2 cameras. Ooh, see? Boo. Hey, come on. So I asked my boss about that, and she couldn't tell me anything. She's like, well, Joe, I can't tell you any names, but I looked up what you asked me, and I did find that there was a girl who stayed in this about 10 years ago, and she stayed in the far back. I didn't tell her anything about the stuff. I just said, I'm looking for a girl or a lady that may have died here, may have been murdered, something like that. If you can find anything, let me know. She's like, yeah, I found out she was staying on the second floor at the far back right room, and that's where Susan had seen the ghosts walk into the room, the girl walk into the room. And so I'm like, really? That's interesting. What happened to her? She's like, she had a heart attack and she died. She said 10 years ago, we had a live-in staff. The live-in staff lived directly across the hallway in the double bedroom that it is now, and that's where they lived. And she died right outside their door because she was having a heart attack, and she was trying to get the staff to call for help, but the staff was out eating lunch, picking up lunch for everybody, and so she died knocking on the door, trying to get someone to help her. And so she enjoys the. I'll tell you guys a little bit more about that after. She enjoys the Christmas. She enjoys the Halloween. She enjoys the decorations, which is why she lives where the decorations are, right? And she comes out when you move the decorations out. So I went downstairs again. I had my candle and I sat under the stairs. I'll tell you, it was pretty scary. I'm by myself. I left my coworkers upstairs, and I just sat under the stairs, and I lit the candle and I started praying. And prior to this, my experience is that when somebody finally crosses over, you get a sign. You get a loud physical nature sign, like a natural sign. Wind picks up all of a sudden, it switches direction, it smells like flowers, it becomes hot or ice cold when it's been warm the whole time, that kind of stuff. Like you're standing at a place for an hour and all of a sudden you ask for a sign and the wind is hot the whole time, everyone's sweating, and then all of a sudden this ice cold wind just blows from the opposite direction. That's the sign that I'm looking for. And so I pray and I light the candle and I tell her to go into the light and ask for a sign. And I'm waiting for a sign. When I don't get one, I finally ask. I'm like, can you give me a sign that you crossed over? And I kid you not, right? The bottom stairs in that little room right where the stairway was surrounded by glass jalousies, louvers, right? They all started shaking. It sounded like there was a plane that flew directly overhead, just feet above the house. I mean, the house started shaking, the glass jalousies started shaking, everything started shaking. And I'm like, holy crap. It was like literally like a plane just flew so close to the house. And so I ran upstairs and I'm like, bro, what the hell was that? I was with my coworkers and they're like, what was what? I'm like, the house was shaking. You guys never hear that? What the hell? And they're like, bro, the house wasn't shaking. What are you talking about? I'm like, dude, the house was shaking. You guys never heard the glass jalousies down there shaking as well? And they're like, it's been quiet all night, Joe. There's nothing up here. And we're talking, they're right at the top of the stairs, okay? I could speak like, hey, and they would hear me, and they heard nothing. So, well, I got my sign all right, but come to find out, I don't think she crossed over. However, the staff did stop seeing her walking around in there, so maybe she did. But still harass the night staff. We have a habit. For me, I'm a guy, I don't worry about it too much, because I don't usually think about it too much. But 10 o'clock, lights out comes, whatever. I make sure the downstairs door is closed. There's a stairway that goes up the side of the house to the second floor into a door. And so that open. I go outside, sit on the steps, read my book, whatever, just to stretch my legs and break the monotony and that kind of stuff. And so I leave it open. I don't care. I leave them unlocked. Well, my other coworker, Rosalind, every night she locks all the doors. Every night she locks all the doors at 10 o'clock because she's afraid that one of the former patients that are living are going to be crazy and they're going to remember and think that they live there and they're going to break into the house. Right? I guess that makes sense. So there was a night where the day staff, my friend Andrew, he lives over on the other side of the island. And this house is in Kaneohe. And so he got off at 6 p.m. and he had to start work again at 6 in the morning. So he decided to sleep over. And there's a couch right outside the office on the second floor, right? He's like, hey, Joe, you mind if I sleep over? I'm like, yeah, bro, no problem, bro. Chill, you know what I mean? He's like, okay, shoot, I'm going to go grab lunch. I'll come back after lights out. I'm like, all right, sounds good. So Andrew comes back after lights out. Doors open. He look at me. He's like, why, you don't lock the doors? I'm like, no need. He's like, oh, what? You never heard? I'm like, heard what? He's like, Rosalind is scared because about 10 o'clock at night to 11 o'clock at night, when she locks all the doors, something will come pounding on the doors. And I'm like, something will come pounding on the door. He's like, yeah. Like somebody knocked on the doors, but pounding on it, and there's never anybody there when she opens it. And it happens all the time to her. And I'm like, oh, I guess the difference was I keep the doors open so nobody pounds on the door, right? And I'm like, well, okay, whatever. I'm like, that's why I leave the doors open. He's like, yeah, well, not tonight. tonight you're gonna close the doors. And I'm like, why? He's like, bro, what if the boss comes up? I'm not supposed to be over here. I want to hear the boss opening the door so I can go run and hide in the bathroom if the boss makes a midnight call to see if you awake or sleeping, you know? And I'm like, you stupid, bro. Whatever, you know what I mean? But like, the boss ain't gonna come. He's like, hey, you never know. I don't like lose my job because the boss comes over here and finds me snoring on the couch, you know? But like, yeah, whatever. He closes the door, he locks the doors, and I'm like, fine. He's like just falling asleep, but almost about an hour later or so, I like to say. I don't remember the exact time, but it was almost an hour later. He was chilling, I was chilling. He's inside the office. All of a sudden, you hear pounding on the door on the second floor. Just bam, 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 bam. And then you hear the door handles start to shake and jiggle like somebody is trying to open the door handle. And Andrew looks up, because I come out of the room, he looks up, he's like, damn it, I'm caught. She's gonna bust me. And I'm like, oh, dude. He's like, it's too late already. She's opening the door. But the door doesn't open. And I'm just like, what the hell? It was like maybe a few seconds, and Andrew's up and ready to run. You know what I mean? And I'm like, all right. I'm walking to the door, because I hear the pounding again. They can't get the door open. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to get the door. I expect to see my boss over there. There's nobody at the door. I open the door up. Right after hearing the pounding, it's on the staircase. There's no, you can see everything, right? It takes 10 seconds to run down the staircase. There was nothing. No. We both heard it knocking. Like full on slamming the door, jiggling the door handle, everything. You know? I looked at Andrew and I'm like, so what, you like leave them unlocked? He's like, yeah, I think we should just leave them unlocked now. Leave them open too. I'm like, yeah, dude, don't worry. He's like, I'd rather be caught than have that happen to me again. The gentleman who was staying in that room. Hey, how's guys? I didn't say hi to everybody that joined, so if I missed you, I'm so sorry. I tend to look down. How's it? How's it, guys? Keep hearing them knockings. Oh, that's funny, Phoebe. That's interesting. It is 11:27 right now. Well, it's like when I talked to you last night, the Spiritus kept opening by itself. It kept opening 3 times when I'm talking to you on the phone. I'm sorry, Melody. Really? YouTube is going in and out? 12:27. Yeah, it's 9:28 here. Okay, so the gentleman I was talking about that was staying in that room that was haunted. A little backstory to him. He was in there because he murdered his parents with a butcher knife several decades ago because the voices in his head told him to do that. And the interesting part of this job was meeting people like this and reading their files, seeing what they did. We had murderers. We had SOs, you know, blank offenders, you know, that kind of stuff. We had a bunch of people who did horrific things, the likes of which I won't repeat. But you realize at this job that they don't walk around day to day with their fingers tinted, you know, like that. They don't walk around thinking, how am I gonna bring misery to everyone's lives? What am I gonna do tomorrow to make this person uncomfortable? They're not evil people, is what I'm trying to say. And it's raining. Lovely. They're not evil people. They're normal people. In fact, sometimes they're good people. And here comes the rain. I don't want you guys to get wet. You guys cost money. Hold on. There we go. We're back. Okay, I think they want me to leave. That's what the wind was telling me all night anyway, but... oh, wait. I'll flip you guys around so I can see what's going on. Oh. There we go. Ooh, scary. Yeah, the Super El Nino is going to be nuts. Guys, don't forget to prepare. Aha, that's it. Okay. Nobody ever drives this truck. And I just found out this truck has a leak. That's usually why there's water in this truck. But very conveniently, it drips into the cup holder. So, look at them. Right into the cup holder. No, TikTok is buffering. What? Bro, I moved like a few feet. Oh, hello. Too bright. Yeah. Oh. We still glitching over here? How are we now, guys? I'm not gonna move. Yeah, there's a thing right over there. I gotta put some I gotta seal them up. I get the stuff, I just gotta have the time to do them. Let me tell you guys, today, so today I got done with work at 4 o'clock, 4:15. Ran home, because I was lucky to work Kaneohe today. Grabbed my backpack for the live. Grabbed my backpack for baseball. Met Matt at 4:30 at the field in District Park. Practiced until 6:45. Coached till 6:45. Had fun. Brought my son with me. Ate dinner with my son till about 7:45, and then drove up to the Pali. Now I'm doing this. So I don't have time to do much of anything. Hold on, let me try something. I wonder. So stupid. How about now? How's everything going now? Since 1994, she, her. Mahalo. How about now? Is that better? I realized that for some strange reason, my phones had their hotspots on, and they were both switching back and forth off each other. I don't see anybody saying anything. You guys still good? Let's go drive up the road a little bit. Audio is good, but video is pixelated. Let's go to a place where we have better reception, aka the Pali Lookout, right? Oh, I'm out. Nothing should be connecting Bluetooth. Oh yeah, seatbelt would be good. And I just found out one of the windows no like close, so the back seat open. Everything needs work, bruh. Yeah, we're probably gonna lose a little reception, but at the lookout in a minute or two, it should clear up. Why is it dry over here? Bro, that's so stupid, bro. You guys see this? I'm gonna get to the lookout. It better have been wet up here too. Otherwise, that means it just rained on me. What the crap was that? Alright, gang, we're back here tonight. But I'm still gonna stay in the car. Actually, I'm gonna look real fast. Nah, I can't believe that it only rained on me. Yep. Guys, the ground is dry outside. The ground is dry outside. Looks like it just rained on me. I think that's a pretty good sign that it was better I leave that place. So here's the Pali Lookout again, guys. It's been a few weeks since we've been here. Let me flip the camera around. And it's very windy tonight, right? Let me show you guys a little bit about how windy this place actually is. Let's get the light back on. Oh, yeah. See the eyes in the bush? Yeah, it's a little windy out here. So back up. This window. Yeah, they want us to move. That looks interesting. Hey, Bella. This is, yeah, we tell stories. Speaking of mental health, I love trolls. Yes, the Makani is active tonight. Let me flip this back around over here. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. Said everybody has their stories, you know what I mean? Not everybody is crazy. These people are not bad people. Even though they did bad things, they're not bad people. Hey Brad, how's it? Sometimes they do things that are good, you know. Do you know anything about nightmares? Yeah, I had one last night. No, I'm not gonna talk much about it, but yeah. Nightmares, dreams, they can tend to lean heavily towards symbolic things. They can tend to lean more towards paranormal, or they can tend to lean more towards the psychiatric. You know, Jody, how's it? Um, there's this one guy. I don't want to say his name. I like saying his name, but I'm not going to say his name. Older guy. He was the one that murdered his parents a few decades ago. And I'll tell you this much right now. He was probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my entire life. This guy seemed pure. He was about maybe 60s or so, white hair, older gentleman. And every time he saw me, he was so happy to see me. You know, every time he saw anybody, he was so happy to see. He'd stop what he was doing. It's so good to see you. How are you? You know, like that. How have you been? How was your day? You know, all of that. He plays the guitar at church every week. He talks about how much he loves God, all of that stuff. And you wouldn't know unless you read his record that this guy actually murdered his parents, both of them, because the voices in his head told him to, right? Um, so I didn't really believe his record. There was a few times though that I noticed he wouldn't be very nice. He'd walk by, and my whole car is shaking. I don't know if you guys can see that because of the wind. He'd walk by, and he wouldn't be, "Hi, Joe, how are you?" I'd greet him, "Hi, how have you been?" And he'd look at me, and he'd grunt and walk away, and say something bad, like, you know, "Fuck yourself," kind of thing, right? But the thing is, when I look at him, it's off, right? When I looked at him, I noticed during these episodes where he was angry, his eyes would be completely black, like no whites, just everything just fully black. And he'd be really into himself and just kind of not talking to anybody. And if you tried to talk to him, he'd get mad and cuss at you and, you know, like, "Leave me alone," you know, like that kind of stuff. And he was just, yeah, I think so, Hawaiian sister. Yeah. And just, I brought it up to my coworker, Andrew, and Andrew just laughed. He's like, "Oh, yeah, I've seen that." You know, you just make sure that you keep all the sharps away from him when his eyes turn black, and you'll be fine. And within a few minutes, maybe 15 minutes, he'll come back out of his room, and he does all the time. And, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Joe." Normal. "I don't know what came over me. I'm sorry if I was rude to you," you know, like that. And I'm like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Just pretend it didn't happen." A lot of people, though, use that kind of stuff for attention, yeah. We're not going to sit down and talk about that kind of stuff and discuss it and give them the attention they want. So I blow it off like it's nothing at all. I have 3 bars 5G. I don't know why it's glitching. I. Well, we're gonna move again. I don't. I don't. You know, since I came out here, I felt that something didn't want me out here. But I gave them the opportunity to say leave, and they never took that opportunity. Maybe I just gotta use my brain, you know. For the ghosts to come out and say leave, you know. Maybe I should just use my brain and my own senses and my own instincts. It's something I got from the ghost tours, yeah. It's like, if it's scary and you want us to leave, you gotta let the people know to leave. You have to convince them. Do something for them to make them want to leave. And then we can leave. But I can't just cancel the tour because the ghosts say, no can come to the Pali lookout tonight. You know what I mean? When they can pay money, I cannot just say, "Oh, I'm sorry guys, the ghost said we cannot come over here, so thanks for your money," yeah? You know. Let me turn the light off. We're gonna go down here and see how this place is. The only part is TikTok doesn't like you driving when you're streaming. Bro, what is going on with this car, bro? Oh, look, it did rain. That road is wet. Huh. I don't know if you guys can see this, but you can see the line where it rained and where it didn't. That's interesting. The rain here is very strange. How's the reception now, you guys? I have better reception here than I did back there. Kauhane, the street, that's cool. No, Keith, I actually spoke to the psychiatrist, his psychiatrist. I spoke to his case manager, who had been his case manager for over 20 years. Why does my freaking car keep moving, brah? I'm sorry. I'm gonna put you guys on a solid level here. Yeah, here, solid. So if the van starts moving, you know. There's no wind now, yeah? There's a little bit of wind, my window's open right now, but not enough to move the car, and it's coming down, not sideways. Second thought, let me put my window back up. Dang it, dang it. Yes, I hear that. Reception is good here? Right on. Oh, what? There was an earthquake. Huh. That was an earthquake. Nice. That was a big earthquake just now? Okay, well, that would that would troubleshoot what. So that was on the earthquake. You felt it on the Big Island. Did I hear someone say they felt it on the Big Island? Because I felt it at the Pali, and I got people on YouTube saying they felt it, and like all around the island. It's got an alert on your phone. I haven't gotten one yet. Jody, we're in Hawaii, so I don't think that you would have felt it. I'm hoping. Kapolei, Eva Beach, Laliha. Wow. Let's see. Earthquake. Just now. Hawaii. Huh. 9:46, 3 minutes ago, a 5.9 magnitude earthquake. Actually, yes, it's centered on the Big Island. Na po'o. And ho now. Wow. Maybe, huh. Maybe that's why they wanted me to leave that place, because I was under trees. I don't know. I know, I should have been in the middle of a really good ghost story, and then then the earthquake comes, you know? Oh, man. Ooh. No, I don't think it came from the volcano, but around the volcano area. And I'll tell you, it definitely impacted the volcano, I'm sure. That's cool. I'm glad I was in my car for that. I would have been tripping balls. Like, seriously, if I'm standing up and all of a sudden. But that still doesn't explain why there's the rain. I don't know. It's just weird weather, weird feelings, weird all around. I wonder if they, like a dog, like how animals know when there's an earthquake. I wonder if that was the case over here too. Aren't there volcanoes underground spewing lava all the time? Well, technically, you go under the tectonic plate, and that's all lava, right? Yeah, animals can react to, they can tell that kind of stuff right before it happens too. When your spirit scan as well. Um, phew, I thought I was going crazy. Sitting here, my car starts shaking. I'm like, oh man. Yeah, I think the last thing I would ever think of would be an earthquake. What the heck? Hold on, I'm seeing lights moving in my. Okay, that's just the reflection of the cars. Okay, good. Clean the lens a little bit. There we go. Where was I? But yeah, the guy whose eyes would turn black. I talked to his case manager, who was his case manager for a long time, and she looked at me and she's like, "Oh, you saw that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did." Now, would there be any medication that he would take that could have caused that, or is it a psychiatric condition, or what's your opinion on this? She's like, you've seen it too. She's like, thank God someone else has seen it. She had seen it on a few occasions, and the mood shift and the mood swing. And she tried to get an explanation out of the psychiatrist, out of the doctors, everything. The whole treatment team. All the doctors, all the medical professionals. But they just said that she was seeing things because nothing would cause that in the psychiatric field. You know, the medications he's on would not cause someone like that. So, would not cause that to happen to somebody. Yeah. So yeah, she believes that it was something else too. But I mean, he was a nice guy. He is a nice guy. Last I've seen him, he's still kicking. Just it was just very strange to flip. And I'm talking, I worked at that house for several years, and I think I've only seen him like that twice. But there was another time with him. I'm just remembering too that was kind of strange. Yeah, we had this was in 2014. This is when I had my case with that demonic entity, yeah. The one that called itself Lilith. Same house, mind you. The one with the lady that knocked on the doors and on the second floor, right? We so basically, long story short, I'm helping a person who's possessed by a spirit named Lilith. And this spirit has manifested several times, and I have the recordings of it manifesting as we're discussing and talking, and it it's possessing her, and it's slowly killing her because two spirits are not meant to occupy one body. And the girl came to me for help. As we're talking, this thing would talk with us over the Skype, over whatever that we would use, and I have it recorded speaking in Latin and other kinds of stuff too. And it was kind of it invaded my dreams. It possessed her a few times. It's a long story. I shared it on Halloween or the day before Halloween. If you want to go on YouTube and find that video, I shared it in its entirety. Um, this guy, while this was happening, right, I witnessed her being possessed over the phone several times, and eyes rolled back, hissing, that kind of stuff, right? I'm trying to remember if this was before or after. This was after. So as I was clocking out of that job, I'm up all night, nobody to talk to. So this girl was a night owl. I was chatting with her and trying to figure out what the hell was going on and how I could help her best. So we would talk for a few hours on voice chat, right? Skype. And that night, the first night I did this, it spoke to me. This thing spoke to me and her. We could hear like a third person whispering like this, like that on the phone with us. And it was loud enough that I busted out my recorder and I started recording it, and it kept going. You would ask it questions and it would answer. It was just really freaking bad. Um, I guess this is kind of appropriate, not where the story I was leading into, but I'll share that one after. This is the fast one. I tell her goodbye at about 5:30 so I can finish my notes up and brief the next person coming in at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I had a Samsung, I think. I remember I logged out of Skype because Skype was still like brand new to me. I logged out of it and I closed the app and everything. Like to get back into Skype back then, you had to type in and log in and everything like that again. Phones were different in 2014 than they are now. Um, so I logged out and I briefed my coworker and I just get downstairs and I sit in my van. Sun is coming up and I'm thinking to myself, how can I help this? How can I help this girl? What the heck is going on? What am I supposed to do here? And I'm just thinking to myself and just pondering, what angle to approach it and all of that. And then I start to hear breathing. And I'm in my van, my windows are up, nobody's in there, my car's not even on. And I hear this heavy breathing coming, just in the van with me. And I'm like, what the hell, dude? And I'm looking around. I got like chicken skin, and I'm looking around, and the breathing is just steady, and it doesn't stop. And I'm looking around, and there's nobody in the van. I can't find out where the sound is coming from until finally I do. It's coming out of my pocket. I take my phone out of my pocket, and I notice I'm in the middle of a Skype call with this girl. But all I see is like up her nose and her eyes. And her eyes are rolled back. And she just starts, you can hear the breathing. And I turn on the phone and I'm looking at the phone. And then I hear like laughing, and it's like, then seriousness. And she says, leave my daughter alone. Leave my daughter alone. You're not helping her. You're going to kill her. No, no. No, first it starts laughing at me. And then I look at it and it starts, I forget what it was saying, but it was very threatening, and it scared the crap out of me. To the point where I put my phone down, screen down, facing the middle console, and I said a prayer to Michael the Archangel. And I prayed, you know, and I prayed and I prayed, and like I stopped, and so strangely enough, some of the words that meant to come out didn't come out correctly. I prayed not for protection. I prayed that the truth be told. My mouth went ahead and formed those words. I'm praying to Michael the Archangel to let the truth be known. And even as I'm saying that, I'm like, oh, that's an interesting thing that came out of my mouth. Let's see where that leads to, right? And then I look back on the phone, and it's like this. The eyes are rolled back, and it's like, your Michael is nothing. Your Michael is weak. He's nothing compared to me. I'm like, that's because I didn't ask him to kick your ass. You know, like I'm thinking that to myself. You're lucky. Or otherwise he would have kicked your ass. And I'm like, you need to get out of her. You need to leave her now. You need to exit her. You need to get out of her. You need to go. You need to go wherever the hell else you're supposed to go and leave, but you're not welcome in her. And then she starts laughing, and she's like, no, I am saving her. You are the one harming her. And I'm like, well, oh no, before that it was, she's like, no, she's like, you are the one harming her. I'm like, no, you are evil. You are bad. You are possessing her. You are shortening her lifespan significantly. You need to leave her alone. Like, this is my daughter. I am not harming my daughter. She's like, and I said, in the name of God, you need to do this. And then the laughter, there is no God. There is only power. There is no good. There is no evil. There is only power. And I'm like, well, what the hell is going on? This is like one stupid movie, you know? And I'm like, bro, it's a stereotype, bro. You know what I mean? Like, what the heck is going on over here? And I'm almost laughing. It's so stupid. But then I start up my car and I'm still scared, right? I'm talking to this thing that's like whispering to me and just like I knew by then that it was a separate entity from this girl, and it wasn't. I thought the girl was messing with me initially, but she wasn't. She was in a sense because I believe that she invited the spirit into her, and she never intended to get rid of it. That's what I think. That's what I thought, and that she wanted somebody else to mess with and someone to just screw with, and that I was that person. And we continued talking all my whole way home. That's how I deal with my fear. I take control of it and I just turn it in and I'm the one in control of the conversation. It's like, you want to threaten me? Okay, let's have a chat. All right? Let me ask you questions and you answer them. Let me go ahead and take control of the chat and see what the hell's going on, right? That happened at that house, right? Leaving that house. And after that happened a few days later, we have a new guy. I think this was a few days later. I'm not really sure on the timeline, but it seems to make sense. We have a new guy move in, right? And my coworker told me, Joe, be careful about this new guy. He's a sociopath. Straight up sociopath. He's been in the house a few times. He's a manipulator, he's a liar, and he's just a straight up sociopath. So be very wary of him. So I knew. I got no warning already. Car coming. Okay, good. He comes in at night, okay, which is freaking strange because the case managers don't work at night. But this one brought him in at like 7 o'clock or so, so I had to do the administrative, the papers where I'm, accepting him in. And he comes over and he's this local guy, maybe late 50s, early 60s. You get these big Magnum PI style glasses on, and it's nighttime, okay? And he's like, "Oh, hi, oh, hi, nice to meet you. What's your name?" I'm like, "Oh, hi, I'm Joe." I shake his hand. He's like, "Oh, my name is blah, blah, blah." He's like, "It's so nice to meet you." I'm like, "Okay." So I asked him some questions for the intake paper, right? And he's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah. One of my favorite things is to go to church. I love church. I love church so much. I go to church every week. I'm very godly and all of this other stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah, right. And he's telling me all of this stuff, and I'm like, I'm supposed to believe you, right? But whatever, I'll believe him. He wants to tell me whatever he wants to tell me. I'm gonna pretend I believe him. It's fine. And then I'm like, then we're done with the paperwork. So I'm like, all right, Brock, go get settled. Go get settled in your room, that kind of stuff. And I bring my computer out, and he's like, "Oh, you got a computer?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got internet too." He's like, "Oh, can you look up something for me?" I'm like, "Sure, depends what it is." And he looks at me like just straight on and says, "Can you Google Lilith?" And I just kind of do a double take, and he smiles. And I'm like, "Lilith? Why?" And he says, "You know who that is, don't you?" And I'm like, "Wait, hold on." And he starts walking away. And I'm like, "No, no, no. So and so, come back, sit down, sit down." So he comes back and he sits on the floor, cross-legged like a little kid, like a student. I'm like, just out of curiosity, of all the things to Google, why did you want me to Google Lilith? That was the name of the demon, right? That I was up against. He just told me, I don't know, but at the risk of sounding crazy, she told me to do it. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, Joe, let me ask you a question. Do you think she's a liar? I'm like, what do you mean? He said, well, she said that if I ask you that question, she'll give me and grant me any wish that I want. And she'll do me favors and all of this stuff. And I'm like, oh, really? She's like, so do you think that she is going to keep her end of the deal? And I'm like, well, I think she is. I think she's gonna grant your wishes, but it'll be similar to a genie, where you wish to fly, and in your perspective, you're flying, but in reality, you're comatose when you're dreaming that you're flying. And I told him, from what I know of this Lilith person you want me to look up, she's a demon. She's a succubus. She's the mother of all demons. And disclaimer, I know there's so much more to it than that. That's what this thing sold herself to me as. Okay. It wasn't, Lilith is also a goddess and a helper and all of this other stuff. But the Lilith that was sold to me in this case was, I am a succubus. I am the mother of demons. I am all powerful. Fear me. You know, that guy didn't last very long. He got evicted very fast for doing stupid stuff. But that's kind of when it got real scary because it hit me. This guy could do whatever he liked to me. This guy's already in the system. He could murder me and he'll go back to the hospital for 10 more years. And then because we can't afford him to keep him there, if he's good behavior for 10 years, he's going to go right back out into our community, into the system. And he's going to go into group homes and he's going to go be recycled through them again. And he's going to do the same thing again, right? What got me the next morning was the guy with the black eyes came when I came back into work the next night. He came running up to me, scared. This is the part I remember that I haven't told in the stories. He came running up to me scared and he was like, "Joe, are you okay, Joe? Are you all right, Joe?" And I'm like, "I'm fine, dude. What's up?" He's like, "I don't know, just I had this feeling that you weren't going to come back today. That something bad had happened to you." He's like, "I'm so glad to see that you're safe, Joe. I'm so glad to see that you're good and you're okay." I'm like, "Well, thank you, but he's like, "I've been so worried about you all day. I just kept feeling that something bad was going to happen to you." And I'm like, "Oh, don't worry, bro. Whatever's going on, I have my faith. I can handle it." And he's like, "Amen." I'm like, I think we even prayed. But that kind of worried me a little bit that he was able to pick up on something that like that. Did you ever smell sulfur? I've smelled sulfur before, but not during this case. I know the demonic signs. I know all of that stuff. This one was. It showed me. It tried to flex on me so many times. I kind of stopped taking it seriously. It would try and attack me during my dreams, and that's when you're most vulnerable. So I'm doing something right. If it's trying to attack me when I'm most vulnerable, this thing ain't strong. This thing ain't nothing. You know, it tried when I was awake and it failed because my faith was stronger, right? Um, it wanted to talk to me. I had an entire conversation with it, and I wasn't scared. It's going to intimidate me. I didn't let it intimidate me. It gave me this horrible nightmare where it dealt with my deepest fears and my darkest fears, and I prayed in my dream and got rid of it. The sulfur smell in Hawaii isn't always bad. Unless it's related to dads and gas. But no, I don't treat. Sorry, I had to say that. What? Okay, I'm tripping out. I saw a heart popping up, and I'm like, "What is that red thing behind me?" You get it's a reflection in my phone. Oh man, I'll end with one more. That story was kind of scary. It's kind of hard to top that one, but I will end with one more that I wanted to share. There's a bunch of other stories. Maybe I'll continue next week, or if I have time this weekend, I'll go live again. So follow, subscribe, all of that stuff. I usually do lives Friday night, 8 p.m. Hawaii time. Thank you guys, by the way, for all the support, all the likes, sharing, and all of that. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm hoping to hit that sometime soon. And then I want to start doing videos and all that other kind of stuff. But I just lack the one thing, time. This story I'm going to share was at the group home. And I thought it was really cool. It was kind of scary when it happened, kind of freaky. But then looking back on it was kind of cool. Do you know someone on Oahu? Lena, good to see you. that is like a spirit guide or a spirit cleanser. Oh, I know many people, yeah, that are those. At sometimes, depending on the situation, I've been able to help as well. Shoot me a message if you need any help, and I can give you advice or send you to the right people, depending on your situation. Or I can go over there and help too. I do bless houses as well. I have a request. You had a gecko story at the hospital. I wait, hold on. There's a lot of stuff going. It smells worse than yeah. So I encounter multiple of spirits that I've never been scared besides the kids that came and I had a smell. Okay. Yeah, that gecko story. I was thinking about that one, yeah. Sure. If you want to ask over here, you can ask over here. And after the story, I'll get to it. Or if you want to message me privately, that's always an option as well, yeah? Anything I can do to help. As long as I'm lying down or sitting down in my house, comfortable, drinking a cup of coffee, I'll be fine. And not getting rained on or shook up by a freaking earthquake. um, the melody requested the gecko story. Yeah, that was cool. I guess this one kind of adds perspective. Okay, thank you. I look forward to it. Um, I worked at the group home, had a capacity of 16 people, two houses that shared one driveway, and the driveway was enclosed into an office. So put it that way. The driveway was enclosed into not office, into the office and the dining room with the dining room tables and yeah, it's still slanted down. So everybody would always just start shifting down towards the bottom. But yeah, our smoking area, we had to walk off the grounds because that's state grounds and there was no smoking allowed. So we had to walk down to the road, which was down a hill. Walking down the hill, you're walking by all these old, abandoned, caved in buildings, right? Which was always creepy, especially at nighttime when you want to smoke at 2 o'clock in the morning. You have to walk by this building with these gaping window holes staring at you and all that, right? And so we, I did that one. I think it wasn't even nighttime. It was like the daytime, like late evening, like set, like it was like 6:30, 7 o'clock, still light out, right? Hello, high beams. Um, so I decided to go walk down to go smoke a cigarette. I get to the smoking area on the road. There's a bucket. You know, there's a cattle gate and there's a street light, and that's all. So the bucket is the ashtray because all the residents got to go over there too, yeah, to smoke. And I'm down over there. I light up a cigarette, and then all of a sudden I hear like a gecko noise. Like, you know how geckos go, but this one was louder and lower and slower. Like, and right in my ear. It made me jump. And then I looked around, there was nothing there. I couldn't find any lizard. And I'm standing by nothing. All right, there's nothing by my ear. I'm not even by the by the light post, and I hear it right by my ear. There's nothing in my hair, and I'm like, bro, this is weird. And I'm like, okay, huh? Maybe something is trying to tell me something. Whatever. Put out my cigarette, start walking up. I'm passing this empty parking lot on my right, and as I'm walking up, I hear an echo of my footsteps behind me. So I'm like, my mind is like thinking on me. I'm like, brah, your footsteps behind me. Okay, I hear footsteps behind me, walking behind me. I'm like, nah, quit worrying. Like, yeah, the echo, watch. And I stop walking, but the footsteps continue. And I'm like, okay. So I start walking a little bit faster. I'm like, all right, there's something going on now, legit. And I start walking a little bit faster, and I get by the house that has the big gaping hole in it, falling apart. And I'm walking it. I'm passing it to my right. Something grabs my arm, like my whole right arm becomes heavy and numb. Just like I can't feel it. And I feel something pulling my arm, pulling my body up towards the house faster and faster. And I'm like, I have no idea what the hell is going on right now, but I'm going to go ahead and listen. And so I start, well, I'm now walking faster. faster, and I start like running everywhere, and I'm like, oh wow. And I'm just like, that was weird. And my coworker's like, oh, lucky you, Joe. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, bro, this is what happened to me, bro. You never guess. I start telling him what happens, bro. His face turns white. He's like, what the hell, Joe? I'm like, yeah, something grabbed me, started pulling me. He's like, bro, that's so scary, bro. And I'm like, no. If you think about it, it was the ghosts. They were telling me, hey, hurry up. It's going to start raining. And me, when I take in my time, they're like, no, we're going to hurry you up more. We're going to start scare you more, make you move faster. And when I wasn't moving fast enough, they grabbed me and started pulling me up. Yeah. And it was just in time. So it's all in perspective. That right there would be a normal ghost story that I would hear. Brah, I was walking over here and I heard footsteps, brah. Oh, cuz. And then all of a sudden, something was pulling me. And then it just started raining. Oh, scary, huh? It's like I choose to see it as a helpful ghost. Well, thank you, Joseph Richardson. You should be a guest on Spaced Out Radio. I'm not sure what that is. The Nopara Bowl, that's the faceless lady of Kaimuki, as well as other places. We have Filipino witches, we have Japanese witches, we have Hawaiian witches, we got tons of them over here, Joseph Richardson. The Mangkukulam, we got the Kahuna, the Ana Ana, we got all kinds of stuff over here, bruh. We got a lot of cultures here. We got Japanese priests, which have been called witches. They have been known to curse. Every culture, Portuguese especially, you know. Okay, wow, it's been 2 hours and almost 2 hours and 20 minutes. We're still live. Sorry, so I'm parked over here, and when my car started moving, it reminded me of being parked over here when I did the ghost tours in the same place and something shaking my van. Okay, that's what it reminded me of. When that earthquake happened, and who would ever think it's an earthquake? I'm sitting here by myself in the dark, and my car starts moving back and forth, and I'm like, brah, not again. It kind of brought me back to back in 2008 to 2012, when I'd be here by myself, and then that kind of stuff started happening. Exactly where I'm sitting right now. So, yeah. That's why I started kind of tripping out a little bit. Um, Another story, and then we'll wrap it up if I don't think of any other. This one was an interesting one to me. Since I worked night shifts, there was me, and I was working with this other guy, Sean. Sean never talked too much, very quiet, always on his laptop. And it's awkward almost because you're sitting across from him all night. Like your two desks are end to end, and I'm sitting and I'm facing him, and he's facing me. And 12 hours, none of us will say a word to each other. I'll try to say a word, and he'll just grunt. Just a quiet kind of private guy. You know, that's fine. But he liked his movies, so I found the DVD at my house. I had never seen this movie, and this was like probably 2014, maybe 2015, 2013 or 14 actually. And the movie I brought was The Exorcist. I had never watched it. I don't like watching scary movies. You know, I don't need that when I'm out here in the dark telling ghost stories. I don't need those images popping into my head. Thank you very much. And so I showed him the movie when I started. He's like, oh, okay, okay. Yeah, let's watch that movie later. I'm like, all right, sounds good. And then about like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, he's like, oh, Joe, you brought that movie, yeah? Why don't you put it on? So I'm like, all right. So now here's how the place is situated. We're in the garage, right? That's been converted to the office and the dining room. It slopes down to my right, as I'm facing my coworker. So his left, my right. It's all boxed in with windows and wood. And the television is right in the middle so the guys can watch TV. And that's also right where everybody parks and you can see people driving up. So there's screen windows across the entire thing, right? Just wood and screens so you can see anybody walking around. Right directly behind me is the door to the house that the residents would stay in. And behind him is the door to his house. And so the idea is I watch his back, he watches my back, right? So it's 1 o'clock in the morning. We close all the doors. You know, we close the doors because we don't want them leaving and thinking they can escape or sneaking up on us. And I turn on The Exorcist and we're watching it. I'm like, all right, cool, you know. Yeah, the movie was kind of scary. I noticed one of the scary parts. I'm sitting down there, body is kind of half facing my coworker, half facing the stuff, right? So I can still see everything. And I see this 6 foot tall white silhouette of a person walk out of the house right behind my coworker and walk into the backyard. And so I pause the movie, and my coworker's like, "What?" I'm like, "Bro, somebody just woke up and they walked to the back." You know, that's where the smoking area was at afterwards at that time. You know, in the backyard. It got moved to the backyard, and so he was like, "Really?" And I am like, "Yeah, dude. I just saw this guy about 6 feet tall, white, walk by." And he went into the back. So I grabbed my flashlight. I walked around. Nobody there. My coworker stands up. He checks the door. The door's closed. In fact, the door's locked. He locks the door. Yeah. Even though I told him not to, because that's a fire hazard, he locks the door. He's like, "Joe, nobody came out here. The door's locked from the outside. You know, it's still locked." I'm like, "Dude, I saw somebody." He's like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." He doesn't believe me, you know. So we continue watching the movie. And then right towards the ending, you know, the pea soup scene and all of that stuff, where everything starts going off and everything is escalated, I see that same white, 6 foot tall white silhouette of a person. I'm talking head, neck, shoulders, arms, body, torso, everything. But this time it's walking from the left to the right, from his house to my house, directly behind the TV. Okay. We both watch this guy walk behind the TV just outside the window. The lights are all on. We pick it up. There's a guy that's walking right across there. We couldn't see a face, but we definitely saw he was about 6 feet tall and it was a white guy. And I looked at my coworker. I'm like, "Bro, tell me you saw that." So I get up and I run around. Bro, there's nobody there. There's nobody there. I come back, I look at my coworker. I'm like, "Dude, there's nobody there." And he just shuts the movie off, turns around, puts his headphones on, and doesn't say a word for the rest of the time. You know? I'm like, I'm trying to talk to him. I'm like, "Bro, what did you see? Tell me what you saw." He wouldn't say a word. He wouldn't say a word. He just, "Nope, nope, nope, nope," and then just stopped talking. But I noticed while I was watching these things that the two manifestations I saw were during the scary parts, where me myself I was getting scared. You know, I was getting scared, and my coworker was getting scared. And I think that manifestation to that level happened because of that energy that the movie had created at those moments, right? So because of that energy, that fear that was generated at those exact moments, it manifested to the point where it could walk around and we could see it walk around. So that's kind of how my theory went a little bit more into it as well. You know, they require energy to manifest, right? You cannot create something out of nothing, but yeah, that's kind of a little theory that I had too. So scary movies can actually draw scary things sometimes. Can you imagine being in the theater watching that? I've heard a lot of things happen, but of course things are going to happen like that. If so many people are in the theater watching that on the big screen getting scared, that's going to draw us a ton of stuff, right? Mm. Oh, you guys all quiet. You guys sleeping. And we have the beautiful Pali Highway out here. So a little recap of tonight. It felt weird at that first place. Then the rain happened. That was weird. The lookout behind me, like, let's see. Okay, in front of me is wet, but behind me is dry. That's how the road is. It just rained like a cloud came just right over here and just moved across. Not at the lookout, just right across from where I was. Wonder how far the rain goes down. Kahala Theater would be good for scary movies. Yep, that's where the faceless lady is. Yes, the unfortunate actors of Poltergeist. Yeah, Jody. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I see. I think that's why I don't get activity because I'm not scared when I welcome all. I welcome all sorts of spirits. Right on, Conrad. Thanks, Debs. Um, yeah, me too. I don't get scared. I when you're by yourself, like when I put myself out here by myself in this environment where you know I'm vulnerable. There's always that what if, right? Not even about the ghosts, but the people. But things don't usually manifest like that. Oh, Cam driving when you were 3 years old, you first saw The Exorcist? I'm so sorry. What if having bad dreams of a bad energy? What if we keep having bad dreams of a bad energy sitting next to you? Yeah, that movie had an effect on a lot of people. I can imagine if I had seen that movie before I actually fully got into the paranormal, then it would have been different. I don't know. I know how to protect myself now and all of that stuff too. Um, I'm trying to think of an answer to that. What if we keep having bad dreams of a bad energy sitting next to you? Is it repeated play for play exactly every time? I would suggest a cleansing. If I'm not even thinking about the significance of a dream, I'm just thinking that a cleansing will never hurt anybody either, right? Go to the beach, go jump in the salt water, go get a blessing, say a prayer, do what you got to do. I've only been scared from the kids. Oh, it's terrifying. I know it's a demon. Brain can manifest anything you want. Yep. Oh yeah. I don't like the ones that can read your mind. I really don't like those ones. They love to mess with you. Oh wow. You climb those stairs, the ones with the priest? Ooh, I wonder how that feels. And a lot of it is a collective conscious, right? The collective conscious will label that place as evil. And so collectively that energy is already being put out there, and so it will behave as such. Or it can. Ah, you guys all still here. We can do one more story. What's this guy doing over here? Yeah. I did mention this story tonight, and so I did want to say I did want to finish with this story. As I mentioned it, I do want to tell it. We were talking earlier about the difference between schizophrenia and possession. Um, this was actually before I stopped working at the state hospital, so this was like 2020, right before COVID hit. Um, there was a gentleman, an older guy, who was about 76, 77, older man, older Hawaiian man, you know. I had met him on my first day working at the hospital. I was assigned to him and I was told, good luck. This guy he will keep you up all night and he will keep you active all night. And this was in the geriatric unit. See, I remember the word this time. um, I showed him kindness. I didn't see him as a mental patient. I saw him as a kupuna, as an elder, and so I treated him as such. And because of that, he was better. So like what he would do was in his sleep he would kick off the blanket. And then when he kicks off the blanket, it was like 50 degrees in the state hospital, okay? So he'd freeze his butt off after he kicked off the blanket. So he'd be up and he'd try to go back to sleep, and then he'd kick off the blanket and he'd be up and grumpy again and all of that stuff. And I noticed that the pattern. And so like the third time it happened, he kept getting up. I put two pairs of socks on his feet, you know, so his feet, because he would keep kicking the blanket off because his feet were cold. And when he would move and try to kick the blankets off, I just put another one over him, you know. And he woke up. Well, he was so thankful. He woke up and he looked at me and he's like, "You're new." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You took care of me last night. Thank you so much." He's like, it meant a lot. I slept really good. Thank you for taking care of me. You know, we said a few things when I was putting the socks on him. I'm like, hey, uncle, you look cold. Let's go put the socks on top of you. You like one jacket too. You know, so our relationship had always been good. He remembers me, right? He always remembered me. Every time I'd see him, he'd smile at me. He'd be kind to me. He'd be nice to me, right? So like, I mean, you're there for 8 hours. What else I gonna do? I go watch him freeze his butt off. You know what I mean? It's in my better interest to go ahead and do that. So he sleeps, and so I don't need to write him up, or I don't need to scold him, and you know what I mean? It's a constant thing. Well, right before I left, he had a breakdown, I guess you can call it, where he was transferred to the naughty unit, where the trouble people are. Their staff, they're bigger, they're stronger, and you have multiple of them. So at one point, right before this happened to me, right before this, I was actually assigned to him before too, and he had his own double bedroom because he could not get along well with others. There were three staff that was assigned to be with him 24 hours a day. That's how violent he would get. He's an old man. He can't even walk. He can barely walk, okay? But he needed three big soles next to him the whole time to make sure he never hurt himself or anybody else. So when I got him, it finally had wound down to just one. And he was under 24-hour surveillance, which is why I had to sit next to his bed. So I walked in, he was sleeping, 10 o'clock at night. He's sleeping, he's crashed out, you know. My coworker, the other guy that's watching him that I relieve, is moving by. It's like, you know, they'll wake up the kid, slowly tiptoeing up. He look at me, put his finger to his lips, points to him, you know, hands the other stuff, the paperwork to me, and then waves goodbye. And I'm tiptoeing inside. I don't like wake him up, yeah. And I slowly sit down, making no noise at all. You know, this is kind of how it is, because it's gonna be a night, you know, if you wake him up. Well, of course he wakes up. He wakes up about 15 minutes later, and he tries to get out of the bed. And I'm like, Uncle, what you doing? He looks at me, and he like growls at me. I'm like, oh, he's like, I need to go to the bathroom. I'm like, okay, let's go bathroom then. So I help him up out of the bed, take him to the bathroom, and where he proceeds to put soap in his eyes and rub them in. And I'm like, Uncle, what are you doing? He's like, he don't say nothing. He just keeps rubbing the soap into his eyes. And I'm like, Uncle, what's the matter with you? So I rinse his face and I rinse his eyes while I'm fighting him, while I'm holding him up because he can barely stand, right? He's one that broke a hip, right? Because he tries to walk and he realizes that he cannot, but he forgets he cannot. So he'll fall down and break a hip. And so I'm like, Uncle, you gotta use the bathroom? You can use the bathroom. Otherwise, let's go back to bed. He don't say nothing. He just tries to keep, fighting me. And I'm like, okay, let's go back to bed. And so I guide him back to the bed and I put him in the bed. I'm talking him to it. I'm like, okay, well, let's just go back to bed real fast. I'll like show you something. So I get him to lie in bed and he tries to sit up. you know, for every 2 minutes he tries to sit up, put his legs down, and try to walk again. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I put my chair next to the bed where he cannot put his legs around because I'm there blocking it. And oh, he gets mad. He starts yelling at me. He starts cussing at me. He starts just all of this just horrible, horrible behavior. But that's kind of how it is some nights, right? And like he knows what to do. He knows what to play, the tricks to play and all of that stuff. So he's like, oh, can I get a jacket? So I'm like, okay, whatever, give him a jacket. And as I'm giving him the jacket, he reaches and grabs my shirt and yanks me and holds on with this grip. Like I can't break the grip. Okay. He grabs my lanyard, he grabs my shirt, and so I just take my shirt off. I'm just like, you know what? If you like one shirt too, all you gotta do is ask. No need to take mine, Uncle. Okay. And he's just like, all mad and all of that. And then 2 hours pass like that. And I'm like, okay, I need to take my break. So I get relieved. I go outside, sitting in my car, just kind of relaxing, closing my eyes, thinking, oh, this is going to be a long night. And I notice in my van, I have the St. Michael the Archangel's medallion. So I'm like, why not? Stick it in my pocket. Come back in 15 minutes later. The guy's sleeping. The guy's snoring. He's out cold. Same thing, tippy toe. Don't wake him up. Quietly walk in, close the door. 10 minutes later, he wakes up. Same thing. Just yelling and screaming and yelling and screaming and calling me names and trying to spit at me and just like imagine that for a few hours. Imagine that for like 8 hours. That's kind of how it can be sometimes, right? Um, and so I'm just standing up because he's trying to swing his pillow at me. He's trying to swing everything he has at me. So I'm just keeping my distance away from him. And I just kind of subconsciously reach my hand into my pocket and I kind of cup the St. Michael the Archangel's medallion just in my pocket. He don't know what the hell I'm doing. All of a sudden, his whole reaction changes. And he just kind of like flinches away from me. And I'm like, "You okay? You okay, Uncle? What's going on?" He's like, "Michael, Michael, nothing. No, Michael, no, Michael," like that. And I'm like, "Oh, interesting." And so I take my hand out of my pocket and he goes back to normal. I put my hand back in and I just grab the medallion and keep it in the pocket. And he has the same reaction. And I'm like, this is interesting. Okay. And so I keep doing that. And he continues yelling and screaming, but half heartedly. He's getting tired. He's getting exhausted. It's like, he doesn't have that same passion in him. Um, Another 2 hours pass. I take a little break. I come back in, and he's screaming again, and all of that stuff. So I reach my hand back in the pocket. That doesn't change it. So I take it out of my pocket, and I still keep it cupped in my hand, and that's the same thing too. He starts to flinch and like full on backing up until his back is against the wall on the bed. Trying to keep his distance from it as much as he can, and he's calling me Michael. And I'm like, "Uncle, my name's not Michael. My name's Joe." He's like, "No, Michael. Michael, you're weak. Michael, you're nothing. Michael." Then I'm like, he's just going completely crazy about this Michael. And I'm like, this is weird. You know? And so that continues. And then, it continues like that 2 more hours. And then the last break I take, I come back in. And it seems that as soon when I take 15 minutes away from him or 20 minutes away from him, he gets adjusted and he gets used to it, whatever I had. Like now he's ready for it. Because the last time I came in, I had to take out my medallion for him to see, for him to hiss, and you know what I mean, all of that stuff. That lasted about an hour. And like I started bringing it closer to him. I don't want to torment the poor guy, you know what I mean? But I was curious to see. I wasn't like pressing it up against his head. No, I was just there, and I'm just like, "Oh, you like this? This is Saint Michael. Saint Michael is the one that defeated the devil and cast him out of heaven and cast him into hell. He's very powerful. You should ask him for guidance if you ever need. You know." And at that point, he just whatever had a hold of him completely left, and he became himself again. And you know, I wouldn't say he became that nice old man that I knew, but he was compliant. He was calm. He was more like, "Oh, what time is it?" I'm like, "Oh, it's like 5:30." He's like, "Oh, 5:30. I want to get up already." I'm like, "No, I'm ready for a fight with this guy." I'm like, "No, you can get up at 6 o'clock. You know the rules." He's like, "Okay. What time is it? I want to get up already." And it was just, it kept repeating, but there was no anger. There was nothing. He was just this nice old man that got dementia now or just couldn't remember. And then I got him out at 6 and he wanted to visit the girls. So I had the girls' dormitory. And he just wanted to do. I'm like, "No, Uncle, you gotta wait. Come on, let's get you in your wheelchair. You're gonna sit down over here with all the guys and wait until 6 o'clock, and then you can say good morning to the ladies, okay?" but you gotta wait a little while. You gotta wait till 7. And he's just like, oh, okay, fine. And then he'd forget. And you just had to continue to redirect him, right? You just had to continuously redirect him, which showed me that even though I got rid of this stuff, even though this thing left him, I don't want to say I got rid of this stuff because it wasn't me, but even though this thing had finally managed to leave him, right? Then you're left dealing with the mental health issues, dealing with Alzheimer's or dementia, or whichever one he was diagnosed with. I can't remember. Because he wasn't always like that. Yeah, a lot of the times he would remember my names, all the times actually before. But then COVID hit and I stopped working there. But yeah, just I found that story fascinating. Just how he worked up a resistance to it, but then how I got rid of how it banished. It got banished through the power of God and Saint Michael and all of that. Well, that's the same thing, power of God, right? It was just fascinating to me. I even told the charge nurse, I'm like, hey, I told her what happened. I'm like, I think you might want to consider, maybe getting a Saint Michael the Archangel pendant, just putting it in his room, overhead, not by him or anything, but like just over his bed when he sleeps. You don't need to even show it to him, but it won't definitely won't do any harm. He's just put it where he can't reach it. Not sure what happened after that. As I said, I stopped working there. But yeah, those are my stories. I hope you guys enjoyed the stories tonight. Oh man, that caffeine boost really helps, man. I'll tell you what. All right, let me get the light back on so I can tell you guys goodbye properly. Oh, there we go. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. This was a lot of fun. Very interesting night. New location. I love replaying these stories in my head. I love talking about these stories. These stories are great, and I tell them for people to appreciate it and to see and to grow. And now TikTok wants to flag my videos for dangerous materials and dangerous things I'm talking about and psychiatric stuff too. And thank you for waiting to the end of the live TikTok. Um, Earthquake video, cool. Just remember, guys, everybody has their own issues. Yeah, be patient and try to help them. And just you don't know what kind of difference you'll make just telling somebody hi and being nice to them every day. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I thought they were red, not brown. Ah, you can see my daughter's eyes. They're hazel. Your cat is dripping right on. But yeah, just be nice to each other. Be patient. And if a mental person comes across you for your own safety, you do two things. You ask them if they need their case manager or their parole officer. Right? I've done that on multiple occasions, and all of a sudden, they're not crazy anymore. The ones that won't leave, the ones that won't do this and do that, and are insistent on causing chaos, and just say, "Oh, Uncle, you okay or what?" And if they're acting crazy, yelling at themselves, "Uncle, let me get you help. Let me call your case manager." Just pretend you know who their case manager and parole officer is. Let me call your case manager. Your case manager will come, or your parole officer will come pick you up, and they'll get you help, okay? You want food? They'll get you food. You need to go hospital, your case manager will take you hospital. Oh, all of a sudden, they're not crazy anymore because they're terrified of their case manager and parole officer. I've had that happen to me a few times. I do alarms and I do the schools, so my job to protect the schools. I was servicing an alarm one day at one of the elementary schools when this homeless guy with sores all over his arms just walked through the campus. And the VP and the people, the staff, they were trying to get this guy out, and he was acting crazy. And he's like, I live here. What are you talking? Like that, right? And they wouldn't listen to them, and he wouldn't be redirected to them. He was just very, very rude. He was demanding food, demanding water, or he was going to go into a classroom and all of that stuff. And so I just saw this at a distance, and I told the custodian, like, "Hey, hold on, let me see what I can do over here." And I walked up to him, like, "Brother, you okay or what?" Ah, I started yelling, "Leave me alone, leave me alone." I'm like, You need to, you got all your sores. You got to go hospital. He's like, I don't need to go hospital and blah, 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 blah. I need a ride here. You need to give me a ride somewhere. I'm like, I tell you what, let me call your case manager. They give you one ride or your parole officer, okay? You wait over here. I go call them up right now. I go call the clinic right now. And they come pick you up, all right? They'll take you where you need to go. No problem. What? What? I'm like, no, just wait over here. Your parole officer or your case manager, whichever one I can get a hold of, will be right here to pick you up. Oh, no, no, no. I'm okay. That's okay. See you guys later. Bye. The staff looked at me like, what the hell did you do? You just tell them that stuff and you're good. You know, try to get them help. Yeah. But all of that stuff, right? Try to get them help if you need to, if you can. I thought one time a guy almost came over on the street and punched me. That would have been the best thing. What's your opinion about this now? That would have been the best thing because to sound like an asshole, I would press charges. Because then they would be forced to go in front of a judge who would legally require that they have to take medications and come back. They're in a schizophrenic state. They're yelling at themselves. They're gonna punch me. The only way you're gonna get them to take their medication is by a court order. Yeah. So is that being bad or is that being nice? Is that the right thing to do? That's happened a few times where some of the guys in the house did something in the community and they ran back home. And once the people found out, you know, oh, this guy was following my daughters home, offering them beer, my high school daughters. And he's like, what is this? I'm like, oh, this is a group home. He's like, oh, you mean the kind people from the hospital? I'm like, yeah. Like, you want the cops? Like, you want the cops? He's like, oh, no, 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 no. That's okay. I feel bad for them. I'm like, bruh, you don't call the cops. This guy go do him to somebody else, bro. All right? You gotta press charges. You gotta get him in trouble so he doesn't do this anymore. And they're like, no, 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 no. I don't like to do that. I feel like one bad guy. Sometimes you gotta be the bad guy. I don't know. Sometimes not, but yeah. Right on. But yeah, anyways, as you can tell, I'm a little tired. So I'm gonna go home and get ready for sleep. Ah, geez, Jody. I know exactly the conflict right there. I have talked to mothers and fathers who had to press charges against their child to get them help. It's heartbreaking. And they are heartbroken and they feel bad. Their kid is pupuli. Their little girl is pupuli. Is crazy because they decided to do bad drugs and they will not get help. They will not get medication. So the parents have to take a TRO against them. And when they break the TRO, then they get arrested and they go in front of the judge and the judge says they have to take medications. It's heartbreaking. Yeah, there's no right answer. They feel bad about it, and when I talk to them, they feel so bad about it, and they think there was a better way to do it, but they couldn't think of one, and it makes you feel bad that you got to press charges against your own kid for their own well-being. Yeah, it's so tough. It is. Don't do drugs. Your loved ones suffer too. But yeah, now for real, I'm gonna hele. So I'll see you guys later. Have a good night. Take care. Have a good weekend. Have a good 3-day weekend. Aloha, you guys. Thank you for tuning in. That is if I can figure this thing out. There we go.